Hello, everyone. My name is Amal Nirgodkar. I'm the CEO of Patient Prism. I'm here live at our Patient Prism studios at the 9th Dykema DSO Definitive Conference. A lot to say. I'm here with my great friend Gary Bird from SMC National, somebody I've looked up to for a very long time in the area of dental marketing, digital marketing. He's such an incredible leader in terms of thought. The amount of thought he has put into understanding how to acquire patients and how to follow them through the journey. He's built a great company at SMC National. Gary, welcome. It's my
Thanks
first
so much.
live.
I know, this is good.
First live podcast.
This is
with
awesome.
you.
And then your studio and your backdrop. This is so
got
cool.
AI,
This conference is awesome. Yeah, I love what you're doing, Amal. And just to talk a little bit about marketing, and I posted something today. I was talking to our marketing director, and Google knows how offices are treating their patients now. I don't know if you actually saw this post, but you'll appreciate this, especially with what you guys do. So if someone goes online and types into Google dentist,
Yeah.
and then they visit the website,
Yeah.
and then they call, and they don't answer, then they go right back to Google. And Google knows that you didn't answer.
It's interesting.
And then so Google goes, this office doesn't take care of their patients. And so we're going to give them a lower quality score, which drives up your cost per acquisition.
Right.
And it gives your competition a leg up. And it just that thought alone, I was like, man, Google is really figuring out what is working and what's not working from how we treat our patients. And I know that's what you do at Patient Prism as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is the power of AI, right? I mean, you couldn't have imagined cranking out this much data, right? Well, this much data. Imagine how many hangups are happening every day across the country. But now Google has unlimited money, sometimes it seems.
Yep.
Unlimited those GPUs, those processing units that process all this information. And they're able to determine based on a behavior that happened and predict that the chances of you not answering the phone are 85%.
Yep.
And based on those predictions, rank your website or in a way that makes your
you get pushed down the line, right? So they're still they're not going to get rid of you because there's still value there because the patients still are coming in, but they're going to value somebody else much more who's answering the phones. And really what that is a quality score of how you've treat your patients. Because if a patient calls you during working hours and you're not answering the phones, Google goes, you're not going to take good care of your patients.
And obviously at Patient Prism, we see this, right? We're seeing about 30% of calls not being answered during business hours, guys, during business hours.
Just so everybody understands what that means, if right now, if you're listening to this, what is your unanswered call rate? And if you don't know that,
that's right,
then you're probably right in that 30 to 35%. And what that means, and that's not after hours, that's during business hours.
Correct.
And that means if you're spending $10,000 on marketing, $3,500 of it is going down the drain.
Correct. And God knows who the patient could have been, right? The patients that were there, because you don't know what the value of a patient is. You can't just go back and say, oh, it's $1,000 I lost. Well, that's $1,000. The patient could have wanted an all-on-4 $40,000, $50,000 treatment, or a patient could have wanted an extraction. But at the end of the day, you've lost.
Or it could have been a mom that had 5 kids that she was going to bring in, or her 5 teenagers or whatever. So, and her whole family. So yeah, you really don't know. And this is top of funnel issues that people are dealing with that are invisible, that I appreciate what you guys are doing with Patient Prism, because if you can get clarity around this, then now you can start actually fixing phone conversion and show rates and treatment acceptance. But none of that really matters if you don't answer your phone.
And guys, there's not, if you talk to, try doing the experiment if you have enough time in the world to do it. But try calling 100 marketers in the dental space and ask them questions like treatment acceptance, or ask them about conversions, ask them about cost per lead, ask them about cost of acquisitions. Most of them are not going to talk to you about that kind of stuff. And Gary, the reason I was intrigued by Gary, because Gary understood not just the business of marketing, but the business of dentistry. And what goes on in the dental office is as equally important as what goes on the phone, on the website, and everything else.
Well, and what I figured out is I can't be successful unless the dental office's operations are successful. I realized that as a business person, my business will not grow. I will not be successful, and that was really holding me back. So I just set out to learn, and I'm no expert like you, but I'm always learning, always trying to understand different things about the dental industry. And once you have benchmarks and you can compare those benchmarks, then you can actually hold people accountable and get your team to perform at a higher level. And that's really what it's all about, whether it's with us or somebody else. If you can get benchmarks of, okay, our unanswered call rate's 30%, that's bad,
Right.
but now you can fix it.
Right.
Now you can say, okay, well, let's hire somebody or outsource it and get it to 15%.
Let's start with measuring.
Yep.
Because if you can't measure it, and it's the famous Peter Drucker saying, if
Yeah.
you can't manage it, and you cannot improve it. Because if you don't even know, then all you're doing is shooting in the dark and saying, all right, well, I think this is what it is.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in the dental industry, and not just for the vendors, but for the dentist, because it's such a lucrative industry, you can get away from having these operational issues.
Right.
But as it gets more and more competitive, those things will actually start to drive people out of business.
So tell me, Gary, if I'm a DSO, I've got 5, 10, 15 offices, whatever it is, and let's say I saw 500 new patients last month.
Yeah.
Right? And I come to you, it's like, Gary, I really need to see 1,000 new patients. You know, and not immediately.
Yeah.
I have capacity, number one.
Yeah, that's
You
my
have-
first
you-
question is,
you
do you have, where are you going to put them?
capacity, Right? Let's say I have capacity. I need to double the number of patients I'm seeing. What's the process you take this client through?
Yeah, so the first thing is operational. Where are you going to put these patients? And then what kind of patients do you want? So a lot of people don't think through that. Are you sending them through the hygiene schedule?
Right.
Are you sending them through the doctor's schedule for like emergencies, things like that?
Right.
Are you sending them through for Invisalign or some kind of consultation for
Right.
implants? So those are all different kinds of patients, have different approaches.
Okay.
Once you understand that, then you can start to talk through, okay, of the 500 patients that you're currently seeing, what is the mix? What's the insurance mix? And how many of those are patient referrals, doctor referrals, and how many are from marketing? Most organizations don't know that.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know that, then you're really building on shifting sand. So we have to create that baseline first and say, okay, you're getting 200, and just so you know, a healthy office should be about 50-50, 60-40, marketing to other sources mix. So now we got the 250 baseline.
Right.
So you have 250 patient referrals. So then I'm going to say, well, of the 250 you're getting from marketing, how much are you paying for that?
Right.
And if you say, well, Gary, we're paying $50 cost per acquisition for those, I'm going to say, don't talk to me. Go double your budget.
Yeah.
And just see if it scales up. Now, a lot of people say, I've already tried to do that. It didn't do anything.
Right.
So the other option is, well, let's cut back your budget first.
Right.
And see what happens there. And I just actually was on the phone with somebody who eliminated their budget 100%,
Yeah.
and their new patients didn't move at all. So what that tells you is your marketing isn't actually driving the results.
Correct.
Yes. And
Correct.
so then from there, it's like, okay, we can come in and now support you. Here's what I think your cost per lead will be in these markets. Now let me understand your operational restraints.
Right.
Your unanswered phone rate, how are you staffed up? Do you have patient Prism? Are you answering, what's your call conversion rate? What's your show rate? And if you don't know those things, then I have benchmarks to know averages. And then I can back end build the cost per lead into a cost per acquisition and tell you this is how much you're going to have to pay to get from 250 or 500 up to 1,000 before we even put anything into writing. We can know that number for you.
This is why details matter, right? This is why going into depth matters, because this is not just about throwing money at the wall at Google AdWords and hoping that, okay, well, this is it. Because if your patient mix is all referrals, and then spending more money doesn't get you any more patients. And so what do you do? So let's flip to the another question that comes up quite a bit in our discussions with our clients is that I'm spending enough money on marketing, but I'm driving the wrong patients
So that's
in the mix. What's the solution to that?
So first you have to define wrong kind of patients, right? So is it the wrong kind of patient because they have the wrong kind of insurance? So you're getting Medicaid patients?
Could be that.
Okay.
Or it could be pediatric patients when you don't see kids, or vice versa.
So clinically, they're the wrong kind of patient. Or you might have income issues where you're driving people in for $30,000 treatment, but they don't have a penny to their name. That's a problem too, right? So there's a couple different ways you can solve it, but the easiest way that we go about that is taking a list of the not good patients and then dropping them on an income map around with your competition. And then we have high income, medium income, low income. We can also do that by insurance mix. And then you can see very clearly, look, these pockets over here don't perform well. And you can reverse engineer that and also put the good patients on the map. And if they're from different areas, guess what? Focus on the good areas. And then you can also do this in population as well. So that's another thing, is that not all areas are created equal. Some have massive opportunities because of the population, and some don't.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea of scoring a lead, okay? What type of leads are you getting? I mean, that concept doesn't exist in dentistry right now, right?
Yeah.
We don't score the quality of our leads. One of the big things I talk about in Patient Prism is that, are you driving the right number of leads into your funnel? But are you driving the right type as well?
Yep.
Number and type, it's both, right? You have to have the quality of the patients.
Yeah.
Just quantity doesn't matter, because you could get all the quantity, but there's no quality.
Yep.
And I don't mean that in a derogatory way.
No. They don't fit. They don't fit your business
They don't
model.
fit your business model, right?
Yeah. There's somebody else that can serve them out there, but you're probably not the right fit.
And it's important to know that, and it's important for your marketer to have an appreciation for understanding this, because otherwise it's just pretty websites don't get you anything.
Yeah.
And we have to have good websites.
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
get me wrong, right? But at the end of the day, it's not about what you see. It's a nice brochure with nice video and everything else. That's great. But at the end of the day, a website's not supposed to be a brochure. It's supposed to be a magnet.
Yeah,
That
converts.
gets your patients, prospective patients, like, ooh, I want this, and takes them through this journey where they like to make the next step, whether it's a form fill, whether it's a phone call, and then you have to monitor that stuff throughout the process, right?
Yep.
But you've got to partner with the agency. And that's one of the things I like about SMC, is that they're strategists first.
Yeah.
I've referred them many clients over the years, and they have said, no, we're not the right fit at the moment, because you don't need us.
Yeah.
And that's the authenticity and honesty you need with so ask your digital marketers, ask your marketing agencies difficult questions like cost per lead, cost per acquisition. Do you understand my patient mix? Do you understand what I need to do? Because you have to drive the right patients into my office.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all a waste.
It is, yeah. The other thing that I've noticed that we've started to track is recare rate of just marketing patients. So something I kept hearing over and over and over again is, Gary, I'm getting 50 new patients a month at this office, and we've been getting that for the last 3 years, and we retain or we recare 90% of our patients, but we're never full. Like we just hit this glass ceiling and we can't grow anymore, which that mathematically doesn't add up.
Right.
They should be full in 12 months and not need any marketing
Right.
for a while. And so I knew where the problem was, but I didn't have proof, right? Because they're at 90% recare. That's what you go into all the
Everybody
analytics.
tells you the same number.
Yep.
I have 90%.
Yep.
How do you know?
Yeah, how do you know? Well, they go into these dashboards and they look and it says 90%, but here's the problem. When we separate out marketing, most of these offices, even that are ran really well, are recaring at about 30%, 29, 30%.
Wow.
So what that means is if you get 50 patients a month, 25 of them are coming from marketing. Only a fraction of only about,
8 of them.
Yeah, 8 of them are coming back to scheduling their next 6-month
Lord.
appointment. And that's why they keep hitting these glass ceilings, is because they're bleeding almost every single marketing patient out the door. And that's the blocker.
That's very interesting. And again, Gary might be the only marketer in the country that talks about the reappointment rates on Recare and how that affects your marketing budget. Because at the end of the day, it will affect the way you market. Otherwise, you're constantly spending more.
Yeah.
Constantly spending more, and it's a
And never
never-ending
getting anywhere.
cycle.
Yeah.
Never-ending cycle.
Well,
So-
and the other thing is that all dental is, especially GP, it's just a recurring business model. Just like a SaaS product is a recurring business model.
Right.
And so it's about retention. And if you retain, you win, and if you don't retain, you lose.
Absolutely. I absolutely. How do people get a hold of you? I know you have this abundant mindset. You've helped so many of our clients just with advice.
I'm happy to connect.
Ended up not doing any business with you, and that was okay, because you truly want to make an impact on their lives and their businesses. What's the best way to connect with you and your company?
So smcnational.com is our website. And if you want to connect with me directly, all my social media handles, I'm on every platform, is the Gary Bird. And you can connect with me there.
And Gary does an incredible amount of podcasts. Me and my daughter were on it a few days ago. I've been on his podcast several times before. But check his podcast out, because he interviews some of the most amazing people in dentistry: dentists, consultants, thought leaders, CEOs, all sorts of people. It's free knowledge. Soak in it as much as possible. And follow him, if anything else. Follow him on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever your favorite social media is. And
I have 38 followers on Twitter.
38 followers.
Yes.
I don't have a lot. I don't do a lot of Twitter, but Instagram you do a lot.
Yeah.
Facebook, you do a lot, and I'm honored to be in this industry with
Oh,
you
same.
because it really is. I love working with people that genuinely want to add value, and are selfless, and you're one of them.
I appreciate that. I
It's an honor
appreciate
to know
it.
you, sir.
Love working with you. Love what Patient Prism's doing. What I always tell people, I'm basically Amal's marketing arm. If you market and you don't have Patient Prism, you're crazy because it's basically insurance for your marketing. If you're spending thousands of dollars on marketing, you need to have this stopgap to be able to save those patients that you're going to miss. Your team's missing them. They're not perfect, and this helps fill the gap. And I've seen it over and over and over again, and it's a must-have. And I wouldn't spend, if I'm spending over $1,000, $2,000 on marketing, it makes no sense not to have Patient Prism.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that lovely recommendation. I appreciate you, and I look forward to working with you, sir.
Thank you, my friend.